Welcome to the Windy City Podcast presented by Fansided. You know my guy, Alex Shapiro, right there. I am Kenneth Davis, and we are talking everything Bears versus the Lions here on the Lakeside around 3:25. We got the second afternoon window when the Bears are going to take on the Lions to get the revenge from earlier on in the season when the Lions blew the doors off of a young Ben Johnson and his program. A little bit of vengeance, a little bit of hate and disdain for Ben Johnson getting all the props and leaving. So we'll see. Definitely got some injury news on both sides of the ball we're going to get into. We also have records that could be broken. A year in the past for any Bears fan that was one of the sweetest offensive seasons that has ever taken place. That could be broken. And the anchor that's been tied around the Bears franchise when it comes to passing yards per season. That's the only team, I believe, within the NFL at this point that hasn't had a pass or throw for a certain number that we all know.
Yeah, a lot on the line. A lot on the line, Kenneth. And the Bears can lock up the 2 seed. So, I mean, there's also playoff seeding implications, right? With a win, the Bears are the 2 seed. If they lose, they can still be the 2 seed. Yeah, if they lose and the Eagles win,
Commanders, yeah,
they're
the 3 seed.
Fall to 3.
And that's the problem, Alex, because we talked about that, I believe, with who you want to play. And to a degree right now, until we go another step in the playoffs, we'd rather not see the NFC West. I think that's kind of
right on. Well, here's the other thing. Like, if you're the 2 seed and then there's an upset, I mean, obviously you need to win. The Bears need to continue to win. But if the Bears are the 2 seed and they win and there are upsets down the road, that first team falls, which happens. It happens. All of a sudden you are in line to host the NFC Championship game, which is massive. So they got a lot to play for still.
Yeah. And we know that there is definitely a home field advantage here at Soldier Field as far as how riled up the crowd can get. We've seen that period, but we've seen it recently. But as you said, they have a lot to play for. And also, you want to enter the playoffs. They did suffer a loss this past weekend. So you want to get back on the right track. And this is a division rival, which really took you to the woodshed and punished you. And you want to distribute some revenge punishment back to them moving forward to let them know that little brother, big brother, that's flipping. So it'll be interesting to see. And also, I'm sure Ben Johnson wants to show his old team, his old head coach, hey, dude, I got my big boy pants on here, right? And this is my city. Just like you blew that city up, I'm going to blow this up, and it's a sweeter city than yours. I love Detroit. This isn't a slight of Detroit. It's just facts. It is. Like, even like their downtown and the lake and how it's situated, it's not like looking at the Midland Ocean that we have because you have Windsor right across the street, basically. So it's not the same. It's just not. And I love
Can't
Detroit.
Speak to it. Never been there. Can't speak to it. I've been along that coast, along the Lake Michigan coast, all the way up to Saugatuck. Never made it to Detroit.
If you like Chicago, you'll like Detroit.
Great. I love Detroit.
It's one of those places. If you like Chicago, you'll like Detroit. You can tell they definitely have some similarities.
Okay. I think what's really interesting about this game also, Kenneth, is just kind of thinking back to who you mentioned it. I mean, the Lions blew the Bears out. They blew the Bears out. And thinking back to where this team was after that loss compared to where this team is now. If you think back all the way to week 2, all the talk was, is Caleb Williams a bust? How long is this going to take Ben Johnson? Oh no, is this like another repeated offensive guru who can't figure it out? I mean, it was doomsday. I can't believe they didn't get Jaden Daniels. How do you pass on Jaden Daniels for this guy who, is too short in all of these things and everything is wrong?
Bring in Tyson Bagent. Remember,
bring in Tyson Bagent. Yes, absolutely. All these things, all of the doom and gloom. And really how quickly they turned it around right after week 2.
They did.
Where it's a reminder that in the time and place, it can be easy to freak out. And in the NFL especially, it's a reactionary audience. Yeah,
It's
exactly. On a week-to-week
it's
basis.
that part. It is a learned experience because you're using the past. And at that point, where everything you just said, it felt like here we go again. Did they make the right decision? I'll tell you honestly, I thought both were true. I was worried about how long it was going to take Caleb, and were we really going to get to see him transition this year into where there was no question, oh yeah, he's our quarterback, which he has now clearly done that. But I was like, or will it still be like, oh, a question mark going into next year? But I knew Ben Johnson was the guy. My first thought was maybe this is going to take longer than perhaps what I expected. But I didn't waver as far as thinking this was the right quarterback, and this was the right head coach. But I get why a lot of people did, because it's Bears history. Usually they don't pick the right quarterback. Usually it's evident really early that the other quarterbacks drafted in the same draft as the Bears quarterbacks are the better quarterbacks. Now you still have Drake May out there with an impressive season, and Bo Nick is nothing to sneeze at. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he's Caleb, but still, I wouldn't be upset if he was my quarterback. And that could just also go to this being one of the stronger drafts, going back to Philip
Like
Rivers,
2020?
Eli, Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah, just one of those. It could just be a strong draft. They finally,
Yeah.
we've been waiting for strong drafts for a long time when it comes to these quarterbacks. And that's still not to say that Jaden Daniels, with healthy, could still be a nice quarterback. But yeah, it was doom and gloom, and it was warranted because that's what happens here. And you look at the last few seasons under Matt Eberflus, nothing really got turned around. I mean, they went on a little bit of runs, but they were one thing that we've said a lot. There was no foundation, and that's really, excuse me, the biggest part about this season is that a foundation was established. There's still things that have to be tweaked, particularly on the defensive line, but a foundation was established, and without going through that, I don't know if we would have appreciated this season. I mean, because one thing that I think we're absolving too is there was a lot of other stressful factors even when they started winning, where it was like, this is winning, but I don't know about this winning. It was
Is
still
Theo Benedict really the long-term left tackle of this team?
right.
Answer was no.
It was still look, it was still, is Caleb going to play within structure, or is he going to play sandlot football all the time? You know, like when is he going to just sometimes one get rid of the ball, but also take the easy layups? And are they being provided? And we went through a lot. Like, man, we went through games where the offense didn't work after the first 15 plays and until like the last 10 plays. You know, like that happened a lot during this season. You had the running game not even being effective until after the bye week. You know, so it was a lot of things where even Ben Johnson alluded to the fact he didn't know the running game was going to start clicking as early as far as the running backs picking up the scheme. But like there was a lot. And I mean, the best part, and I think this, Alex, I'll let you go. We kind of talked about after the week 10, or maybe like week 11, since the bye week 11 or 12, we were like, so what if they go on a losing streak here? What does the season really mean? They didn't. But that's, even at that point, we were looking at, are they fraudulent? Like prior to the Eagles game, we were like, hey, this could all be smoke and mirrors to a degree based on the teams that you're playing, right? I mean, think about how 2 weeks after they beat Vegas, I forgot who kicked the crap out of Vegas. And it was like, man, that Vegas win looks even worse now, a week or two after. So like stuff like that. But now they've proven that this franchise is going in a positive direction, that you have figures in the right positions to do it, and that you should be excited. And you shouldn't just be excited about this season. You should be excited about it's healthy seasons moving forward, because the biggest positions, the coach and the quarterback, seem to have been remedied when you take in the totality of this season.
Yeah. It kind of picking up from there, I think it's really interesting this season in particular, because I think you're right. I think if the Bears, let's say, get knocked out in that wild card round, or they get knocked out in the divisional round, it's disappointing, obviously, because you always want to go as far as you can. But you have to feel good. You have to feel good about where Caleb Williams is going. we've seen the growth. Is there room for more growth? Of course there is. He and his wide receivers and the tight ends need to have better chemistry, need to have better rapport. That's going to come with reps. That is simply going to come with time. The only way to get that done is to play a lot of football together. So they're on the right track there. I think it's really interesting to see where this thing goes. Ben Johnson year 2. If this is Ben Johnson year 1, how much better is it going to be when, again, training camp was ugly. It took them weeks just to learn how to get out of the huddle. They should have that behind them.
Right.
Think of what happens when, okay, now instead of working on, like not even the foundational space, they weren't even laying the foundation. They were like still digging the dirt, they were still moving the dirt around. They were still, putting.
They were still knocking down the old building.
Exactly. Now they get to go back and check on the foundation that they laid and say, oh, okay, there's a couple cracks here. Let's fill that in. But the foundation's still there. So, okay, now we have a full summer with that foundation already laid. We can go build an addition. We can go build a deck out here, So that's where it's like, okay, yeah. Ben Johnson, we feel pretty good as the guy. Caleb Williams, we feel pretty good as the guy. Rome Odunze has been rock solid. Luther Burden looks like he has all the talent in the world. Colson Loveland coming on, et cetera, et cetera. This interior of the line, that all looks great. The future looks bright. So if they lose in the playoffs, you're still hopeful. However, these opportunities don't come up all the time. The Bears have been banged up, but every team in the NFL gets banged up, and they've had health where it's most important. Caleb Williams. Look at the Washington Commanders. They're also thinking after last year, hey, sky's the limit. Mm-hmm. What happens? Jaden Daniels gets hurt. All of a sudden, the Commander season is tanked. So it almost feels like a situation where it's like, okay, Rome is coming back. Your offensive line has stayed healthy, right? All 5 starters. I know Jonah Jackson has an illness, but he came back. It looks like Jonah Jackson should be good to go with that illness. But all 5 guys on the offensive line.
That's crazy.
I'm including Ozzie Trapillo as now the presumptive starter. That's crazy. Yeah. So you have Caleb Williams healthy. You have DJ Moore healthy. You have Rome Odunze coming back.
Braxton Jones went down.
Braxton Jones went down, but,
it was needed.
I do wonder if this job was always going to be Ozzie Trapillo's by this time in the season. Darnell Wright, banged up, but playing, So it almost feels like, hey, is this an opportunity where the Bears should take advantage of their health? Because the Los Angeles Rams are without Devontae Adams, who could be coming back. The 49ers, we just got done talking about last week. Fred Warner could be coming back, but they're missing a lot of guys. They're missing a lot of important guys. The Commanders, again, down. Patrick Mahomes out of this postseason. Lamar Jackson's been in and out. All of these other teams are banged up, and I know we're trying to focus on the NFC, so I'll focus on the NFC. Packers are without Micah Parsons. Is this an opportunity? So there's a bit of a duality here for me, where it's like, okay, yeah, the future is bright. People should be optimistic no matter what. But I don't think the Bears or Bears fans should set their sights too low either, where it's like, hey, any team can win on any given Sunday. And the Bears have a guy, 2 guys who have shown I can win. I can win when down 10 points with 2 minutes to go. And it almost feels like, hey, it would be great if the Bears could take advantage and squeeze as many wins out of this season while they are relatively healthy, where they're healthy in the really, 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 really important areas. So I don't know that what do you think about the duality of how I'm viewing this thing, Kenneth?
I think, one, there's an opportunity for the Bears to beat anybody. But I think now when we're getting to the end of the season, to bring a little murky dismal to it, the defense front 4 is really showing its ass at this point. It is. And one, when you think about the playoffs, they're going to let you play a little bit more. And that would be good if they were getting pressures but they're not getting pressures, because then you'd be like, man, they're gonna be able to, take some hits at the other quarterback that they wouldn't in the regular season, as far as they kind of letting them play through the whistle a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And everything that you were saying, I would think when you were saying it would be different even if the defensive line wasn't great, but they just had one guy that was just a wrecker. And because you could just be like, man, we're gonna ride his ass, right? Like, we're gonna ride him, right? But that, like, if they just had guys that situationally popped, you know what I'm saying, where they don't have to be like these Hall of Famers, but even, and I'll just keep it to the Bears, like even when you had Adewale and Alex Brown, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, just two good players on bookends, you know what I'm saying? And at that point, you briefly, at times, you had Tommy Harris and you had Tank and you had Spice Adams. But think about those guys. Then look at the guys they got right now. And the guy, and I don't even really want to get into Montez Sweat or whatever, but like, if Montez Sweat was, the Tez effect was Tezing, it would, then now we're talking about, we could go the Bears could go all the way, basically. And
there have been stretches for Tez. He's cooled off a little bit, but in the middle of the season, he got hot. So I agree with you.
They don't pay you that money for the middle.
Hot again.
They don't. That's not middle of the season money. That's all
December,
contract
January money.
Yeah, that's all contract money. That's like, man, one thing you could say about him, we make him one of the highest paid guys, but in the middle of the season, oh my gosh, you got to see the middle of the season. Like that. If that happened, and again, I'm not saying like there's no chance. No, they definitely could. But at one point, when, like, at some point, an opposing team's defense is going to play well enough to slow the Bears down, because now the Bears can, the best thing about the Bears offense, they can stay in any game. Someone's going to be able to at times have a really good game against that run and attack. It's just going to happen just because it's football, right? Somebody be like, damn, how did that happen? Then we're going to be like, well, Ben Johnson didn't run the ball enough. And it could be true. But that could, and that's when you need your defense to slow their offense down, and that's my fear for what could derail the dream. That and that again, I think will be remedied. But man, and again, I was a person that wasn't, because I didn't know. And I like to tell that, like, people will always be on here prognosticating, making everything they say is right. I didn't think they should spend real big future capital for a defensive end, probably because of how many people are really trading nice DTs if they're that good, right? Or they usually are old if they're going to trade them. But I didn't see that, and for them, and to be honest with you, until the Eagles game and the trade deadline was passed by then, I believe. Right. I really wouldn't have known if it was real. Like, we could have talked it was real, but it was a lot of heart attack Bears. Saying, as far as what was happening. So and then that player, it would it have worked? Like if Trey Hendrickson or Hendricks, whatever the Bengals defensive end,
Trey Hendrickson, Max Crosby.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, you would have had to give the world for Max Crosby. So I don't know if that, because look, they still need some draft picks. All right, like,
no, they absolutely do. Yeah.
This isn't a one defensive player remedy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've talked about this. Like, they need a veteran or two, and they need two youngsters in the draft, at least, to throw at this. Because one thing we've talked about on the center was waves, right? And do they have a wave, Alex? Do they have a wave?
They got half.
You got half a wave. You got half a wave, baby. We can't surf on that. We can't surf on that. All right. And that's,
I could surf on that. I cannot surf on a full wave. I need a half wave. That's what I can surf on.
Got you.
But this is the NFL, and I'm not playing in the NFL.
Right. So that again, and again, I'm not even. I mean, you can blame the past history of Ryan Poles in this situation, but if we're being fair, you can't fix everything in the one off season. Like, when you look at everything, like, one thing I want to talk about before we really dive deep into the injuries in this game, and I don't think, and then we'll do this again during the off season, we'll revisit this. But man, we hit on it in one game, but what this draft class meant to this season, like, when you were talking, that just, like, Colston Loveland showing why they drafted him. And again, I was a Ty Warren guy, but seeing how Colston Loveland fits into what Ben Johnson wanted to do. Luther Burden, the hate that Luther Burden wasn't getting enough playing time, but we still saw he didn't know every time where he was supposed to be at. So there was somewhat of a reason behind that. But you see why they drafted Luther Burden. You mentioned this guy, Ozzie Trapillo. Ozzie Trapillo, usually when the Bears do something like this guy's a bust. And I'm not saying that Ozzie Trapillo, they've hit on him, but at least we know he's pretty adequate at this point with not as many reps as he would have got if he was the hands-down starter at left tackle throughout this preseason, right? You have Ruben Hippolyte, which, really we haven't seen a lot, but he's been a body a couple of games prior to getting hurt to being out there. Zach Frazier, Luke Newman came in
out all year. Zay, but you can't.
Go ahead.
You can't predict Zay Frazier missing the year for personal reasons,
Right. Luke Newman came in and really helped them out when Jonah Jackson got hurt in that game. And just listen, the guy is of course
seventh rounder.
Cal Monungai. All the haters was like, oh yeah, and we were like, and this is James Neveau and myself, like, hey, that's not bad because we watched unfortunately a decent amount of Rutgers football doing Big Ten country. It's been more than anybody would have thought he would have been unless you were a Scarlet whatever fan. What's Rutgers? The Scarlet Knights?
Scarlet Knights.
Thank you, the Scarlet Knights. Whatever. Whatever. I don't even like their head coach. But whatever. Was Bobby what's the Shiano? Is that the head coach? If
you think I spend any brain power thinking about Rutgers football, I'm so sorry, Cal Monungai. I'm so sorry, Cal Monungai.
Okay, I'm not using
any brain power on Rutgers.
It's their greatest head coach that left to go to the NFL, and now he's back there.
Don't know.
I think it's Greg Schiano. I believe it's Greg Schiano. Let me look.
I'll take your word for it.
No, I love your honesty. All right, like.
Listen, maybe I need to pay better attention because then
you should.
I would have gotten caught up quicker on Cal Monungai because then it was like after the draft, I was like, who's this guy? Oh, he doesn't fumble. He actually runs the ball pretty good. Oh, he can catch football too a little bit. Oh, he's fearless in pass. I did a lot of catching up in 2 weeks on Cal Monungai. The pass pro, fearless in pass pro, fearless.
Their quarterback last season was a more dual than threat. Like he was a decent running quarterback, but they didn't have a passing game. And everybody knew, hey, key up on Cal Monungai, and he still was busting with the Big Ten. We're talking about the Big Ten. He wasn't playing in the new Pac-12. No, he was playing against some of the best teams in the country. You mean
the new Pac-12, the Big Ten?
Yeah.
Guess what? He was playing against the new Pac-12 because the new Pac-12 is the Big Ten. So you're right. It is impressive playing against those old Pac-12 new Big Ten teams. He's good.
What about the injuries, Alex? Let's jump into that.
I'm sorry. I have to talk a little bit more about Rutgers football because you made me look up Rutgers football on,
I apologize.
On Wikipedia. Do you know who was the Rutgers football? Is this head? Let me see. Head coach before the first Greg Schiano era?
No, who was it?
Terry Shea.
Oh.
Maybe I do need to spend some more time with Rutgers football.
Good old
Bears
Terry
fan Shea. Favorite. Everybody in Chicago loved Terry Shea, right? Wasn't that the most beloved offense in Bears history? The Terry Shea offense? Oh no, I'm sorry. That was John Shoop. John Shoop or John? Am I pronouncing his name right? Most beloved Bears offenses of all time.
No. You've alluded to the Eric Kramer season, which I believe that was North Turner's brother that coached at U of I.
Ron Turner.
Yeah, Ron Turner was, I believe, the offensive coordinator that season.
I was being sarcastic. These are some of the most hated Bears.
I know. Some people wouldn't have gotten it, so let me just. Hey, they don't know that Bears stuff.
Extremely sarcastic. Those were highly ineffective Bears offensive coordinators.
They were terrible.
And Terry Shea of Scarlet Knights fame as well. All right, Scarlet Knights football. Who knew?
I don't believe you knew. You don't remember when Greg Schiano went to Tampa Bay?
I know his name from the NFL. I had no idea that he
Okay.
was associated
Yeah,
with
he came from Rutgers.
Rutgers.
And to let you know when someone was like, man, that guy that's coaching at Rutgers, he would be great at Rutgers. Yeah, okie
I'm
dokie.
so sorry, Kyle Monungai. I'm so sorry. If you're listening out there, I'm really, really sorry. I will watch more Rutgers football next year. That's a promise to you and you only, Kyle Monungai.
All right. Injury front. Rome. What do you know as far as Rome, his participation, and perhaps what should we expect, Alex?
So Rome, for the first time in a while, got some limited practices in. Questionable. It'll be interesting to see if he plays. I actually have not heard what Ben Johnson said today. We were recording this on Friday. But he's obviously missed a good bit of time, and I think the Bears have missed him on offense. You know, his big target, good on those 50-50 balls. He's a guy who you throw it up, he's got a good chance of coming down with it. And I think they've missed that guy. I think they've missed that guy in this offense. So with the opportunity to get the number 2 seed, and especially knowing that the Lions might not be playing all their guys, Dan Campbell kind of alluded to, hey, you know, if a guy's got bumps and bruises, he'll play. But if it's something a little bit more serious where something could get worse, we'll probably just sit him down because the Lions have nothing to play for.
They're out.
With that opportunity, I do wonder if the Bears give it a whirl to really lock in that advantage throughout the postseason. Now, obviously, they're going to monitor it since he looked like he was going to play a few weeks ago and then re-aggravated that foot injury during warmups. So it's going to be a really interesting situation to see for Rome Odunze. We mentioned the Jonah Jackson illness. Somebody else, I think Jaquan Brisker just came down with the illness. So,
no!
Yeah, this thing has just worked its way through the Bears. It's really worked its way through the Bears. Here, I'm pulling up Bears communications right now. Yeah. So Jaquan Brisker, DNP on Friday with the illness. He is questionable. The only guy who has been ruled out is the guy they got at the trade deadline, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, who's actually, I think, been a solid second wave guy, even though we just got done saying the Bears have only half a wave. I think he's been a decent sub. He's popped off. We've seen Joe Tryon-Shoyinka make some plays. The guy they got from the Cleveland Browns. So he's the only guy ruled out. So things are actually trending up for the Bears. Josh Blackwell, no game designation. Luther Burden, we had all the questions about him since he got hurt on that very last play. No game designation for Luther Burden. And same thing for Olamide Zaccheaus. No game designation.
Good. And then on the Lions side, I know there were some key guys that Amon-Ra St. Brown is looking like you said that Dan Campbell said he's trending towards, but Alzalone, the do-it-all linebacker that came from New Orleans several years ago, that can really play off the ball well and switch off in coverage. That's something to exploit. And Penny Sewell, particularly with the bad defensive line now, perhaps their best offensive lineman at right is going to be out. So they're at advantages. And then, like, at some point, I wonder, at some point, will the Lions, depending on how the game's going, just kind of take their foot off the gas?
Out. Yeah.
If the Bears are really giving it to them, there's no reason to get anyone hurt. And like you just said, and you can get a chance to see some guys that you're going to look at next year and give them some reps to help you determine the depth moving forward. But this game is ripe for the picking. I'll be disappointed. I'll be honest with you. I'll be low key disappointed if they lose to the Lions, because this isn't the Lions. Again, we've said this though, a division rival, and it's amplified by the fact that the Bears head coach just left there and has been viewed as the NFL's wonderkin for the last couple of seasons. And I'm sure there are people with pride in the Lions organization and want to show that they had a lot to do with that also, if not more, in their opinion. But again, it's football and your asses are out. All right. And you're in the damn way. And you need to move that ass out the way, if we're being honest.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It would be disappointing if the Bears lost this game. You mentioned Anzalone, Amon St. Brown banged up. You mentioned Penei Sewell, and then one more, Al McNeil, nose tackle. So between Anzalone and McNeil, these are guys who have been ruled out already. That should help the Bears' run game immensely. Those are
Yeah.
two important figures in that run defense. And Anzalone is all over the place. So yeah, based on again, the Bears are banged up. Every NFL team is banged up. Penei Sewell being ruled out is arguably the biggest guy ruled out among both teams. That's an enormous loss for the Lions. So based off who they're missing, they got nothing to play for. As you said, if the Bears go up they got nothing to play for, Kenneth.
That sounds like Tez effect time, doesn't it?
It should be Tez effect time. You
All
know
right.
who else it should be? I actually thought about this when you were talking earlier about the other guy who could just give you a little something. I want to see more ascension from Austin Booker. Austin Booker,
really good game last game.
Yep. Really good game last game. Over the past month and a half, there have been more moments where he has popped. If he can continue to grow, and if he gets more snaps,
that's a wave. If he can grow,
Tez plus Booker, that might be a wave.
That might be a wave. He may be a wave. Not a big wave, but a wave.
Yeah, let's see if Tez can get a sack. Let's see if Austin Booker can get a sack. Let's see if they can generate a little momentum heading into the playoffs. Now you might be cooking with some. I'm not saying you're cooking with grease quite yet.
I would love.
But you might be cooking with canola oil.
I don't know how much of the cream and the clear we can get down there to boost the odds. Joking. As far as good old days in baseball, but because they need a boost. Yeah, I mean, to your point, there's going to be opportunities for, you would think, this defensive line, and Austin Booker has really, that last game he really played. Him starting off hurt this season kind of derailed what his sophomore year could have been. Last year they brought him along slowly because it's not like he had a ton of reps while in college. But he has shown why Ryan Poles selected him. I think the biggest question, and this will be more of a question it'll be a question for the playoffs, but also for next year, because next year will show us consistency, is one trick pony or dual threat guy, as far as both. Because I think our hopes was, man, if he could just rush the passer, but if he can do that and play the run, now you're talking about, of course, you need another defensive end, but you have the young player, and you can look at bringing in perhaps a vet, and then looking at doing something at DT with going young also. Now you could perhaps go DT, get the kid from Clemson is going to be around where the Bears may be, depending. He'll be in the teens, so he won't be around, but he could slip. But they could look at getting them a nice defensive tackle that's maybe a pocket penetrator or a collapser, and then also look in free agency and in the draft to strengthen both the defensive insides or whatever moving forward. And again, one of the positive things, again, and I'll say this, they don't have nowhere near the holes that they've had in the prior seasons where we needed guards, tackles, and centers. Like, what else is on the list, hon? Like, we needed everything possible. The car, we just had a frame and some bricks.
Chassis.
Yeah, that's it. And we still had to strip it down to the bare metal. It still had old paint on it. So at least now, if they're healthy, and I think that's one thing that you keep saying is a point. They really haven't been healthy this year. Yes, some of the key cogs have been healthy, particularly your quarterback's been healthy, but they've been hit with the injury bug, and it shows their resilience. It's particularly when you're performing a new program. It shows the resilience and the character of this team, that health didn't become an excuse, because it show has been in the past. So it's good that next man up has really been something with this program. Honestly, next man up has really been something.
Yeah. Should we talk Caleb's quest for Bears records?
Go right ahead.
So I've seen some discourse that if Caleb Williams passes Eric Kramer, if Caleb Williams becomes the first Bears quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards, that it really won't mean much because it's a 17-game season. And to a degree, I understand that. But then I wonder, is this what they were talking about on sports
was
radio in 1980 when they went from 14 games to
in the
16
16.
games? You
Yes, they
know,
did. They did.
so
Like
is there an
people,
asterisk now for 2 years? 4 years later, does the asterisk go away? Like the NFL used to play 14 games, they went 16 games. We don't really care about that anymore. So I think
okay.
personally, I think it
Go ahead.
matters. Because like even with us new all the rules that favor passing in this league, Bears haven't had anybody pass Eric Kramer 30 years. 30 years Eric Kramer has held that record. I think it matters that as like a totem that we're going in the right direction as the Chicago Bears, right? Talking as the Chicago Bears. We're going in the right direction. We've got the quarterback. We've got the scheme. We're putting up numbers. We're putting up points. I think it's just like one more demon that this team can exercise. One more thing that they can just put in the past, because this team has put a lot in the past this year. They've slayed a lot of dragons. And I think it's just one more thing that they don't have to hear about anymore. They get the 4,000. So it's 270 yards. If Caleb Williams throws 270 yards, he'll hit 4,000, and he's 109 away from passing Eric Kramer. Rex Grossman couldn't do it. Jay Cutler couldn't do it. Mitchell Trubisky couldn't do it. Justin Fields couldn't do it. None of them could do it. And he can do it with 109 yards. I think that matters.
Bringing us all that sadness, thinking about those quarterbacks. I think this. One, it would be the Bears to need an extra game to finally do it, right? But I'll say this too. I think part of the job that we do is to contextualize stuff and to provide people with information. And because we live in a microwave society with built-in recency bias, we always want everything to be now. But yeah, that OJ rushing for 2,000 yards in 14 games, and I don't remember when Eric Dickerson, when he set the record, how early he set the record early in his career in the 80s.
Yeah.
But if he didn't technically really do it in 14 games, I mean, to a degree, it's not the same. I like the fact that Saquon Barkley decided to sit last year, one, for health purposes, but also because it really wouldn't have been breaking Eric Dickerson's record because he needed an extra game. Now, you said something. Time will make it easier for that to fade away, right? But we should always respect the records and the amount of games that it took, because that's the thing that makes sports great. You know what I'm saying? Like, hold on, like the facts about sports. And yes, eras are different, but like I love the fact that sports can be passed on like a scroll in Alexandria thousands of years ago. You know what I'm saying? Before it was burnt crisp. But like I like that about sports. You know what I'm saying? Sports gives you something that isn't just all out subjective. You know, it's like, no. That ass got kicked 14-23. Right? like, yeah, you know, stuff like that. So I feel you. And again, I'm not saying it won't be fun here. It'll be great. But he's going to surpass 4,000 yards. Like, that's going to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He will. And he'll do it before the 17th game. All right. One of these seasons, if he's going to do it multiple years, Caleb Williams will throw for more than 4,000 yards. You can see that it's coming. Like, think about how we just opened up the show talking about how disconjointed the offense was for a large portion of the season. Now, imagine next year, right? Like, think about you know how good the Bears are now, that morally, if this was week 4 or 3 and they play San Francisco the way they play San Francisco, we'd be blowing our minds away. We'd be like, Caleb went toe-to-toe with Brock Purdy playing at his highest level. Oh, my God, right? We would be, every time they score, we would be going crazy over it, because we'd be like, the offense, look at the offense. Remember how many weeks the story was, but what about the offense, right?
Yeah, no, the defense was carrying them.
Right, and now we've gotten to the point where it's like, you go, I go, you go, I go, you go, I go, with one of the smartest offensive minds in football, Kyle Shanahan, right? Like, like this. So that just he will take care of business when it comes to breaking and setting all these Bears records. And that's part of the reason why it's great really, I was thinking about him talking about being here. I saw interview or question this week, and with even the stuff, the narrative of, well, he really didn't want to be here with that came out and all this, which is like, dude's here. He's smart enough, I believe, to know if I do in Chicago, I'm a legend. Like, doing that for the Commanders means nothing. All right, yeah, for the DMV, but the nation isn't gonna be like, let me tell you, right? Like,
Yeah.
you
There will
do
be
it here.
statues.
Yes, you do it here, and nationally, it will be. Dog, I tell this to people because people want to be like, they hate us. Yes, nationally, when the Bears go up, it's good for the NFL and it's good for sports, right? It generates revenue. People on coast like that who benefit from things like that. So yeah, we will definitely see. But I do like the point that you're making. Like, we should celebrate it, because you're right. It's another pin in the cap for the Bears to let you know that they're heading in the right direction, as you just alluded to a minute ago.
Yeah. I don't know if he'll get 4K. I don't know if he'll get 4K on
Ever?
Sunday. No, on Sunday.
Sunday
This year.
Yeah. So
270.
let me ask you
270
this,
is
Alex.
like, if it was 250, I feel a lot better about it. I mean, obviously 109 if he doesn't get hurt.
Let me ask you this. Let's say the Bears go up 30, 34, 35 to like 13.
So
right?
they're up a whole lot.
Yeah. Do you?
And Caleb Williams is at 240 yards.
Well, you got it. If you're at 240, you got to go for that 30 yards right there. You got it. Bro, get your ass out there real quick.
I don't know that I do. I don't know that I do.
Well, I think they will. But my point would be, would you? I wasn't going to say how many yards, because in this whatever I'm trying to come
scenario.
Up with. Thank you. Scenario. Better, much better phrasing. In this scenario, the running game has carried the Bears this game for the most part, right? Like, let's just say Caleb has 180 yards, 170 yards, right? He has 2 touchdowns, but basically it's been from the running game and even him getting some with his legs as far as getting first downs. At some point, just because you are entering the playoffs and the last thing you want is some injury from somebody that doesn't need to be out there, the game is secured. Wouldn't you pull the guys and say, that's not even, like, I think, like, to me,
100%.
like, 100%. The playoffs is much more important than that. Like, again, and let alone the 17th game, 4,000 yards. You telling me we lost the quarterback because he had gone for 4,017?
Yeah, because now you can spin it. I agree with you entirely. If it's the third quarter and the Bears are up multiple scores, they're up 20 points or something, and Caleb's sitting at 200 yards, even at 200 yards, or 240. I'm saying he's 30 yards away. I think you got to sit him. Because if he gets hurt, that's disaster. Yep. That's a real disaster. And then, you can say, all right, we got you the franchise record. You have rewritten the history books, and we'll leave 4,000 for next year. And I think it also sends an important message of, like, an important message that is the reality of the situation. It's like Chicago Bears winning football games, the Chicago Bears winning playoff games.
Yes.
Trumps everything. That is a number one, mission one. Everything else comes after that. So I am with you. If the Bears are up huge and Caleb Williams is still chasing history, I say, hey, you might have to set that record in 2027, in early January 2027, young man.
All right. You got any extra points?
I do have an extra point. Kenneth, remind me, have I brought this extra point onto this show that I finished The Wire? I know I talked about The Wire and being in season 5, but have I updated that I finished The Wire?
I don't think you said you finished The Wire.
I finished The Wire. And I think I'm ready. I really kind of agonized over this. I think I'm ready to go on the record and say The Wire is the best television show of all time.
I mean, that opinion has, a lot of people have that opinion. A lot of media people I know in Chicago have that opinion. No, there's nothing far-fetched. I'll get to it. So my extra point will be, for a boy that is a distant son of the state of Alabama, a man rather, I should say, referring to myself, Kellen DeBoer.
Oh boy.
If you don't get this together, you should have taken that Michigan job when you had the chance, if that's true. And the real problem is, one, you got clocked yesterday. But the real problem is being a son of Illinois and knowing that the damn Hoosiers are about to win a national title in the second year that Kirk Cignetti is there.
New Big Ten, by the way. I'm counting Indiana as a Pac-12 team in this new Big Ten. They are not old Big Ten. Old Big Ten, you do not get to claim Indiana. They're as good as a Pac-12 team in this situation.
That's a nice theory. I like it. I like it. But the fact that you got Kirk Cignetti and this man is going to win a national title in Indiana in football, his second year. You said the what?
Losing his program of all time.
Dude. I mean, oh my. Like, just again, I don't even have like tons of Indiana hate. But right now, it's like our football teams can't do anything close to that. But also the admiration in you knocked it out the park bringing this coach in. And he knocked it out the park clearly. But, I mean, his second year, dog, I don't think the damn Oregon's going to beat them. Once Ohio State went out, it was like, oh, snap, the road is cleared to go for the Hoosiers. So even though I'm peeved, shout out to the Hoosiers, shout out to Kirk Cignetti, because you got something. It's not even wonderful or nice. It's mind-blowing what this gentleman is doing at that place. Man, that's wild. You know what I'm saying? Who would have, if I told, listen, you're a betting man. If I told you 2 years ago that the Hoosiers would win the national title.
Well, they haven't done it yet. I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, okay.
They looked awfully good, though.
You want to put something on that? You want to put a little something on that?
No, I don't. No, I would not.
Okay. All right. But yeah, anything else out before we get out?
You want to talk about a wave that was reduced to not even a half a wave, a quarter of a wave, just glass type water? How about that Crimson Tide? The tide went out. Tide went so far out we can't even see it. Crimson Tide. Whoa.
Dude, just some of the runs late in the fourth quarter, late third quarter, where it's like, what the hell is this? Like,
and Georgia goes down?
I know, dude. Oh my God. Kirby. That was, and listen, this NIL money is messing cats up, because they was like, I used to get all those players. Those players used to come to me, and we would give them the money under the table.
All right, here's my second extra point. The SEC is now garbage again.
Dude.
Because that NIL money, and now that, listen, it's obvious everybody was giving that money. Give USC all the scholarships back, man. Give USC all the scholarships back. USC should get 10 extra scholarships for the next 3 years. All the scholarships they lost because of Reggie Bush, because they bought Reggie Bush's mom a house or bought her a car or something. Like, come on. Give them back.
You never watched Blue
You gave them back to Heisman. Give them back to scholarships. Michigan actually cheated. They actually cheated. Give USC back the scholarships. SEC overrated. SEC is over. The new Pac-12, which is the Big Ten, Indiana included. That's it.
Let's go. I love the Big Ten, but as someone who was a fan of the SEC, to see what it is now and how will it ever get back to being like, even like last year, it was like, okay, Big Ten, SEC, you know, but now it's like, dude, you guys, no, like it's not. So yeah, that'll be interesting.
Can I have a third extra point? Because I'm kind of firing off right now about college football. Okay, so we have just, kind of cemented that the SEC is garbage, totally overrated. Tennessee should not have been invited. Alabama should not have been invited. Meanwhile, we have all these other mid-major teams that did not get the invite. Notre Dame. I'm not sad that Notre Dame didn't make that. That's fine. But we have all these other teams. Can we just make the college football playoff 64 teams like March
Oh
Madness and let it
no.
rip?
Oh
Yes, because
no.
now, guess what? Because now I have a reason to watch the 1-800-CONTACTS Bowl because it
Dude,
actually matters. Because
dude,
you're asking me to watch that 1-800-CONTACTS Bowl? Absolutely not.
dude.
But guess what? If it's 64 team tournament, I'm all about it.
Oh my,
Okay,
this is
okay,
enough.
so,
Listen,
okay. Blue Bloods,
this is one
Ohio
team too
State,
many. This is one team too many.
Indiana, Georgia, Alabama. You want to actually cement yourself? You got to make it through. You got to make it through a lot of football games now. You got to
Against
play the whole tournament. Yeah,
nah,
go beat James Madison.
I like the
Go
regular
beat
season
Liberty.
still. I like the regular season still having a meaning in college football. Because then
It
your
will,
point
because
is
you'll get that 1 seed and you'll play the 16 seed.
okay. On that note, we will see you after the Bears game. All right, after the Bears versus beat the Lions, we will see you here on the Windy City podcast presented by Fansided. Please, of course, as always, be safe, and we always appreciate you taking a little bit of time to hear us rant and rave about whatever Alex was just talking about as far as the tournament. All right, we'll see you.